Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of MD Bot for Her podcast, a space where we highlight inspiring women who are creating real change and breaking barriers in their fields. MD Bot is all about sharing journeys, practical insights, and stories that help more women step forward with confidence, especially after marriage, kids, or career breaks. Today, I'm truly honored to welcome Sukaina Abbas. She is a certified gemologist, educator, a passionate advocate for women's economic empowerment. She is the CEO of Enchante and holds multiple professional certifications from the Gemological Institute of America. Sukaina is helping build gemological literacy in Pakistan and opening doors for more women to step into the exciting industry. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to learn from your journey.
Bernie, thank you so much for having me over. And a special thank you for pronouncing the brand name right. Interviews में normally पहले सबसे मुझसे पूछा जाता है how do you pronounce your brand name? So 10 out of 10 to you for doing that perfectly. Thank you so much.
So let's start with your journey and about your life, like your studies and all. So you have originally studied computer science. So what inspired you to make such a bold switch to gemology and jewelry?
A computer science graduate. And I was a homemaker by choice after graduation. We're talking about another era, another millennia. And at that point in time, I felt that being a homemaker was a priority in life because I got married right after my last semester. And having done that, not pursuing a career at that time seemed the right thing to do. However, many years down the line, there were some life-changing, life-altering incidents that led me to rethink about a lot of things. And though it seems कि gemology का computer science का कोई ताल्लुक नहीं था मेरी जिंदगी का, लेकिन the reason was that I decided to look for something that I could divert my mind to, and jewelry designing or particularly gemstones was something that that came as a passion project when I started off. My grandfather was a geologist. So, and obviously, we were belong to a sect that, there was a lot of keys and firozas because of the trips to Iran and Iraq. And that for so mesmerizing and so captivating that, I decided to go ahead and make a brand. Facebook had launched pages back then. It was a very cool thing to make a Facebook page. And for home-based entrepreneurs, that was the first time we heard the term entrepreneurship, about 10 years back, 11 years back. And there was a lot of focus both globally and locally in Pakistan as well on women who were working from home or home-based businesses that needed to formalize. That's how I started my journey.
Great. So there was a turning point, there was a point where you said that, yeah, that's it, I'm going to do this.
Absolutely. Because I think initially maybe aap zindagi mein you don't realize that how important some kind of financial independence or financial literacy or financial support, uski importance is very undermined in our lives, especially for women in Pakistan. And I came to the conclusion that I had given up a career by choice. And had I gone at that point in life to earn money, I was not skilled in my own field because there was a gap in the IT field. Of a couple of years, I had my first child and then twins, so I could not, rejoin my own field. This was something that appealed to me because I could do it at my own hours, and I could do it juggling the other responsibilities that I was wearing at that time, the other caps that I was wearing at the time. A homemaker living in a joint family, a mother, a wife, and I loved the flexibility that this field provided me. So I think that was basically the turning point for me.
Great. So we'll discuss about when you stepped into this industry. So obviously it was very different from your original field, which is a software engineering field. So, what was the biggest challenge which you
Yes.
must have faced? So, do you remember anything like any story or something?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. As you said, this was not my field. So my primary concern was, okay, if I'm designing something and if I'm making something and buying some stones from the local market, how would I judge its quality? For me, even when I started, right at the beginning, quality was utmost important. And I was of the thought that, if I'm doing something, even though it's a passion project at first, I want to give it my best. I want to do it perfectly. I want to do it in the best possible way. And my first concern was how will I judge the quality? I do not know about the stones. I cannot differentiate the qualities at that point in time. So the first thing that I did was try and look for opportunities to pursue education, and I decided to enroll myself in the first one. The second challenge, of course, was supply chain. Building a supply chain in the male-dominated field. As you know, there are not many jewelry artists or jewelry designers. I'm not a bench jeweler as such. I don't work with the tools, but I have enough knowledge to know how to use them and guide a craftsman or an artisan how to make the product the way I want it made. So, going out in the local market and building a reliable supply chain was another challenge that I think we faced when we started off. Luckily for me, there was a lot of support from family and friends who are always your first circle of support.
Yeah.
So I still remember that I made my first lot of inventory of a few designs, and I invited my close family and a couple of friends to come and see what I'd made. And I think everybody was so encouraging and so supportive that motivated me to take this forward.
Great. So we'll move with the other question. Like I have seen that you have multiple
Sure.
certifications from GIA. So for someone new to
Yeah.
gemology,
Yeah.
why are these credentials so valuable? Like I really want to know that, are these credentials and certifications really important if someone is like passionate and wants to learn and want to enter into this industry? Because I am asking basically for the women who really want to join and who really want to study about the jewelry and the design. So is it important for them to have these certifications and from a certain university?
Okay, so I really love this question. I think this is a very pertinent question, and I have great pleasure in answering it. Globally and internationally, when we talk about gemstones, gemology, or jewelry, it is generally a standard and a good practice for sellers or shops or brands to sell jewelry which is already certified, or which is sold through somebody who has the qualification to sell them, because that increases its authenticity and validity. In a country and culture like Pakistan or the subcontinent, it becomes even more important because there is so much variety of products out in the market, and there's a lot of unfortunately scams in the kind of market that we deal with.
Exactly.
So people who do not have that information, whether it is the jewelry designer or the brand who does not have that capacity to judge quality or identify stones, will not be able to deliver it to their clients or customers. And it is very important because I've seen in recent months, there was a lot of, I'll just like to give you an example here. There was a lot of noise about lab-grown diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And the whole world went crazy when we found out, there's something called a lab-grown diamond that's being done, that's being created. It has the same properties as a natural diamond, and so on and so forth, right? And the whole world was getting into it, and there's a lot of talk about it. In Pakistan, however, we went a step ahead. So now you see people selling lab-grown emeralds in their jewelry designs, which are technically nothing but glass, right? So they're selling green-colored dyed glass in the jewelry and calling it a lab-grown emerald. And for people who have interest, there are just 4 companies in the US who are producing lab-grown emeralds, and the prices that they produce it at, and the market that they cater to is not the one that we have in Pakistan, right? So this kind of general information, unfortunately, the audience or the client is not aware enough. Firstly, to appreciate the importance of value. And secondly, when you see somebody selling, let's say, an emerald ring for 1,200 rupees online and on a 70% sale, you start to wonder, what's wrong here. I mean, do people even know how emeralds are formed? Do they even know where they're sourced from? And can they even calculate the cost of an emerald ring?
Yeah.
And they're really willing to purchase it for 1,500 or 1,200 or whatever, believing that it's an emerald, right? So it's very, very important right now in an environment and market like ours to raise awareness about gemology, about gemstones. Pakistan is a very resource-rich country. We produce more than 90 varieties of gemstones in Pakistan. Unfortunately, they're not sold here locally. Not many people are aware of them, and that's a huge gap that we can fill, with the right resources.
Exactly. And one more thing, which I think it's a very important question, who really wants to enter into this industry, because many people think that you need a lot of money to enter the gem and jewelry business. So what's your honest advice for someone starting from scratch?
For someone starting from scratch, someone like me who was a housewife with 3 kids when she started off, did not want to take a loan either from family or the bank. I started off with the little money that I got from my community. And if I remember correctly, it was a mere 25,000 rupees at that time.
Great.
And that's how I started off.
Great.
If you talk about my gemol education, I have pursued most of my courses right now that the diplomas that I've done, they have all been on scholarships that I was awarded. I applied for scholarships and I displayed my passion because I really, really wanted to learn about it. And I really showed my progress and the impact of that learning on my work and how it helped grow my brand. So I think when there's a will, you always find a way. So money should never be a reason that you don't decide to pursue something.
Exactly.
Once you have the passion, you will figure it out.
Exactly. Great. Now, you have said it earlier as well, Pakistan has huge potential in gems and jewelry. But I've seen your podcast and your interviews, you often say that we need more gemological literacy. So what does that mean for an ordinary people? And can you share an example of how it can actually change a family's life?
I have a very interesting example to share that actually happened with us, with a customer of ours a few years back. They had gone to Sawat for vacations and holidays, and they bought a Sawati emerald there, convinced that it was a very unique, high quality stone, and they paid quite a handsome amount of it. All that lady knew about emeralds was that it was supposed to be a green color and that it is almost normally cut into an emerald cut, or which is commonly known as an emerald cut. It's a rectangular cut stone, and she loved the color. And because she did not have that kind of gemological literacy that we talk about, people assume the cleaner the stone is, the better the quality. Especially since we're talking about emeralds, that's not true. Natural emeralds are one of the most inclusive stones, which means that they have a lot of lines, that they have a lot of inclusions that you can see with your eye, and that's the beauty of that stone because it is made by nature. So she was convinced that she got an eye clean emerald, which means it was sparkling clean, there were no marks on it. And she came back. She asked us to make a ring for it because of our perspective and the knowledge that we had. We were a little skeptical that we requested her to get a check from a laboratory because we weren't sure that it was an emerald as the shopkeeper had claimed. And can you believe what happened? she had bought a piece of dyed glass and paid a huge amount for it. And when you visit touristy places, all the shops on the sideways, on the side paths, claiming that we have driven them out from the mountain mines, and this stone is from our mine, and you should, this is a very unique stone, and that pressure of time to take a decision that you should buy it, otherwise, we have other buyers. And she was conned, right? So had she known a little about emeralds, about how they're supposed to look, and what their qualities are or what their unique characteristics are, just not as a student maybe, but just as a someone who likes stones or who wants to wear stones, she perhaps would have made a better judgment about it. So when we talk about people getting to know about stones, I think this is one element in terms of buying and selling. And the other, of course, is that it's a very interesting science for students or girls or boys who want to pursue, fields in science. You don't have to go for a traditional career. Trust me, once you start studying gemology, you start falling in love with this miraculous, natural products that God has created, because this is all science. It is all, there were so many myths, for example, in the ancient times, different nationalities, different civilizations believed different things about gemstones. Amethysts were known to, ward off the effects of wine, for instance. Other cultures believed that jade had special powers. Some believed that tears were the pearls were the tears of God, right? So all those so-called powers that they believe the stones have are actually their chemical properties, right? So wearing a particular stone makes you feel calm. It's because if that stone is pure and untreated, it affects your, you inherit those chemicals through wearing it in contact with your skin, and that's how it affects you. So there's a lot of interesting science behind it. If you are into gemology and if you need to, that literacy part of it, it is phenomenal. I would recommend anybody, not just students or professionals in this field, but even people who have good taste and want to appreciate gemstones should, try and learn more about it.
Great. Now we'll talk about your brand. Like, you have built Enchante into a known brand, and seriously, everyone knows about it. When I studied about it, I read about it, I was like mesmerized. I said, my God, you have done an incredible job. And what you are doing in Pakistan for the women itself and for yourself also, it's great. So do you remember the first piece you sold that made you think, yes, this is going to work? And what did the sale mean to you personally?
Yes. The first sale, I think, is always unforgettable and always very special. So I told you about the Facebook pages part. When I made Enchante, I love photography as a hobby. So I already had a small camera and I was very fond of taking pictures. When I got that first pieces made, I took pictures and made up a Facebook page after 2 weeks. And of course, my father-in-law knew and everybody knew who was on Facebook. My family, she's made a page and started liking it. Initial first, we used to go and check, 10 likes, 25 likes, people are liking it. And then there were images on it. And then 2 weeks later, somebody inboxed me that, what's the price of this bracelet? And I was like, I had not gone that far ahead. I had just made a page, put up pictures. I never imagined people would want to buy it this quickly, right? It was just the beginning. And she asked me, what's the price of this bracelet? It was a multi-stone bracelet. It had Firozas and a key. I even have a picture somewhere. And, I actually almost blurted out or typed out the cost price, without calculating what the retail price should be. And she's like, I want to place an order for 2 bracelets. And I was like, all right. And I was like, can I have your contact details and all? When I told my husband that I got an order for 2 bracelets, he's like, it's fake. Somebody is playing a joke. It's fake. Why would they want to order this bracelet? I was like, I don't know. But she said she wants it. She wants 2 pieces and she wants it delivered to this address because she's traveling and she thinks they're really pretty. Trust me, till I got those made and delivered and the money came, I did not think it was real. Obviously, it was my first ever sale, and I was like, you know, it's a lot of obviously excitement. There's a lot of self doubt. You know, I've made something, somebody likes it, and they want to buy it. This is so amazing. So I think that was really the beginning of something really beautiful in my life.
Great. That's really sound interesting. And seriously, everyone has a story to tell. All the women out there are like doing great.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Now we'll talk about, see, like MD bought for her, the main purpose of our MD bought
Yeah.
for her is to like empower those women who are like, I say it in every podcast that I really want the women to like come out from their shell and do something, and yeah,
Absolutely.
explore and do whatever they want, because sky's the limit. They can do anything, because
Absolutely.
if they have passion, then they can do it.
Absolutely.
Here we have examples like you, so that's why we have like created this series just to
It's a fantastic series, and I'd like to add to all the women listening to this, you know, there is no timeline. It's not a race. Everybody has their own journey. I have my own timeline of my life, and I know when the time is right for me. I did that. I did not pursue a career in tech. Maybe had I done that, I would not be here today.
Exactly.
But I did something more fulfilling when the time for me came. So I think all the women out there, you know, because we challenges is double compared to men, right? We have houses, we have to put food on the table, we have to be
Yeah.
caretakers of family at home. So it is very important to realize that even though you're doing all those responsibilities, you are taking care of them. There's also that part of you that needs fulfillment as a person, your own aspirations, your own ambitions, and when your time is right, and when you think that you can, you know, take on that journey of self-discovery, of as you said, you know, realizing your own potential and pursuing it, I think you should not think twice. I think the minute you realize that, you know, I can do this and I want to do this, you should just start.
But the support system is also very much required, because like you said that you have a strong support system, like your husband, your family, and everyone was supporting you, but there are many women who are not able to get that support. So basically my target is to help those women and tell them, yeah, you can do it. Yeah, there is nothing which can stop you. Even if you don't have any support, you can come up. Like you have said yes to me for the podcast, so you have supported me. So women like us only, we can support each other and do
Absolutely.
wonders in life. So
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
so one more question, I'll talk about how you have taken Pakistan internationally through street trades and WJA. So what did you learn from global network that you wish more local entrepreneurs here knew or applied?
I always say that, you know, at platforms where I hope I can make an impact, it is so important to represent Pakistan on the international platform. I would particularly talk about my own field, in the field of jewelry design. You know, we are so talented. We have some of the best artisans in the subcontinent. You know, we are, unfortunately, we've neglected this sector, so we run around chasing from, you know, whether it's Turkish jewelry or whether it's Indian jewelry or it's jewelry from China, whereas we have the capacity and the talent to produce far greater work. So when you go out on an international platform, you get to learn what is happening globally around the world. You know, you see things and you learn from a different perspective. Maybe you are doing something which is not that technologically advanced, but when you go to international platforms or trade fairs or events or exhibitions, you see how others in the world in the same field are doing that same thing maybe, and you know, you get to learn. When we were part of the ITC She Trades program and got selected to participate in Birmingham and UK, one of the biggest Europe's biggest trade fairs, until, you know, we show up more, become visible on such platforms, and it's also, you know, it's great validation for me. For example, as a brand, which was, it was our initial participation on a global platform where there were designers from all over Europe, from India, from all parts of the world, and then people stopping over, looking at the pieces and appreciating the finish and the quality, and very proudly saying that this is at par with anything that you see here at the trade fair. So I think that is so very important. Not just to progress this as a field, but also for the country, of course, economically, and on a global platform, you get that recognition.
Great. Now, one more question. This is coming from, I have asked 2, 3 women around me, and I have discussed with them about your field and the field of gemology. So they asked me this question, and this is the question from them to you. Why would someone invest in gemstones instead of gold? Because especially when most middle class families focus mainly on saving money. This is just a question from them I'm asking, because for a middle class family it is very important to save the money, and they love to invest in gold because they'll get higher value in return.
So let me clear a little clarification here. Middle class families, including my own, have this tendency to view gold, which is given on weddings, as gifts to their daughters, to their daughter-in-laws, as form of security, believing that now the trends have changed, but a few years back when we got married, it was like the set has to be a particular way. 10 tole ka set hai aur ye hai, and etc, 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 believing that this will provide security for a tough time. However, I have been highlighting this point. However, when you go to sell that set, you only get 60% of the value of gold, because when you go to sell gold jewelry, there's a lot of amount that is in the name of wastage, in the name of purity, in the name of embellishments, etc, etc, etc. So until and unless you are buying gold in the form of certified bars that have those stamps and certifications, it is not a very wise investment. Gemstones, on the other hand, if you are investing into a gemstone that is certified, for example, a diamond that has a DIA certification, or let's say a ruby from Burma that is very expensive but has a certification with it. So when you go to sell it, because there is you're not removing anything from it, you're not removing any part of it, and it stays as it is, whether it is 10 years or 100 years down when it was inside the in the earth, or when it's outside and polished, it remains the same. So its value remains the same, right? So local environment in Pakistan, we have not seen this trend. But if you look across Europe, if you look across the Western world, investing in good quality gemstones is a huge deal. Preferably more than gold. Gold is a very subcontinent thing to invest in. But if you go and see the auctions at Christie's and at Sotheby's, you'd see the humongous prices at which gemstones are sold. Gold can never beat those prices.
Great.
So yeah.
Thanks for the answer. So at last, I just want to ask one more question. This will be the last question of.
Yeah.
Okay. So I really want you to give some message to the women who are looking at this podcast and they're listening to you. What would you like to say? Not the women, I'm basically focusing about the women who after marriage and who have kid, and those women.
My message to all these women out there who are juggling a family life and want to pursue a passion project or a career or get back to their track, firstly, know this, that you are a superwoman with God bestowed superpowers. So women are naturally more resilient. They are excellent multitaskers, and they have this innate ability to find solutions, right? So, one day at a time, that's how you plan your journey. If you are not in a position where you can plan ahead, you have small kids, you have a family to take care of, and you don't think you can plan for 3 years ahead, start planning for small days, one day at a time. To take out half an hour at the end of my day, the dinner, the kids are asleep, now this half an hour, instead of watching reels on Instagram or watching something on Netflix, I'm going to do this thing that I'm going to listen to this podcast, or I'm going to start working on my brand, I'm going to start designing my logo, I'm going to start thinking how I want to do my business, right? So it starts with a very small step at first, and if you are consistent, because that's very important. होता क्या है कि we pursue something for a few days because we are in the mood or we are in the whim to do that, and then after, let's say, 2 weeks, we are like, hey, now I don't want to do that. मेरा दिल भर गया, no, I'm done now. I don't want to do this anymore. So it's very important to keep doing it with consistency. Show up, start planning, and we often think that success is it's going to come overnight, and we don't realize that the learning that you get from failures is far more valuable than any success that you'll have, right? So you'll fail. That's all right. You start again. There's a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. But don't give up. I just want to tell them, do not give up. The kids grow up. Take it from me. When I started off, my twins were they were very small, right? And the first time I went out, after starting this, I got enrolled in my initial days in a program called the Woman X, which was funded by World Bank at IBA, Karachi. And for me, stepping out of the home with 3 small kids was unthinkable, especially to twins and toddlers. But my mother-in-law, as you said, support is important. She's like, no, I look after them on the Saturday. And it was just 1 week a day, 1 day a week. It was Saturday, and going out just for that few hours. And though, I used to communicate at the each-turn in the initial days, I was like so anxious about it. But, it was a start. And that's a small step that, no, I want to learn more. I want to learn about marketing. I want to learn about business plan. These are not my fields. So coming on, the next advice is skill learning is perpetual. There's absolutely no age limit. My son was at university and I was studying gemology alongside him, right? So there's no age limit. There's no expiry date. There's no timeline. You can start learning at any age, at any point in your life. It never ends. So if you want to get into something, you think, how can I do it now? I have to look after the kids, and the time's gone. It's not gone. So learning is perpetual. Your resilience is important. You need to show up every day, and then of course find your network. Cannot emphasize the importance of finding your tribe, finding your group of women who are there to take you through every up and down. As you said about MDBot, right? So this is what we are there for. Right? Find your tribe, find that group that is your support, that's your backbone, that gives you learning, that's there for your bad days, and you will thrive. I think there's a long list, but I would like to highlight at least 3 advices for women out there.
Thank you so much. And at last, would you like to say something about MDBot for her?
I think it is such a great initiative because honestly, sometimes we all need to have that one cheerleader who believes in you when you are doubting your own self, when you are feeling low and you think that you will give up. So that shout out, that cheer, that support that everyone is doing for women who are just waiting for that one nudge, for that one push, for that one shout out to them. I think this is phenomenal, and I wish you all the best. And I think it's a great, impactful platform that you're building. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. So Kiana, thank you so much for sharing your story, your expertise, and your inspiring journey with us today. And your work is opening doors for so many women and bringing true gemological knowledge to Pakistan. And it's exactly voices like yours that MD Bot is honored to spotlight. I'm sure our listeners will take away so much and hope, like so much hope and practical advice from this conversation. Thank you once again for your time and for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me over. Thank you very much for having me over. It was an absolute pleasure, and I hope that the journey that I have shared helps someone out there, someone who wants to make that first step. I hope it encourages her to know that she can do it. I'll do that. Thank you so much, Sundar, and thank you once again for accommodating my time change request. It was very last minute. मुझे पता है कि कितना चीज़ें schedule करके ये चीज़ें करनी पड़ती हैं, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for it.